Hi everyone, today we're talking budget-friendly cameras. What do you do if you have about £500 and you need to upgrade or buy a new camera?
We've got a range of cameras here from most of the major brands and mounts, which you can all buy for around the £500 mark. And we've used our friends at MPB to get these cameras. And first thing to say, I guess, is that the amount you spend or the kind of camera you get for your money kind of depends also a bit on the condition that you want it in. So you could buy, if you want a mint one or excellent condition one, you may have to pay a bit more. If you're prepared to go down a little bit and have maybe one that's been used a bit more, a few more shutter actuations, you can get maybe a higher spec model for the same money. So we'll talk about that as we go through. But all of the cameras that we've got here, you can buy for around £500 from MPB and also from eBay and other sellers as well. The Nikon D800 came out in 2012 as a replacement for the D700, which was an absolutely amazing camera, well loved by everybody. But it only had 12 megapixels, which, although fine for most things, there was just that demand for a bit more resolution. So in 2012, Nikon came out with a D800, which had 36 megapixels, which at the time was unheard of. It was the first camera to come out with 36 megapixels, and it created gasps of disbelief at the time, believe it or not. The image quality was, as you'd expect, absolutely outstanding. It was, in most ways, much the same as the D700 as a tried and trusted format. It's very, very well built, weather-sealed body. It's a fantastic ergonomics. It handles really, really well. But it just basically added the 36 megapixel sensor, and it also added some video functionality, which was missing from the D700 because video had now become a thing. It also had live view, which the D700 didn't have. Now, this camera, I remember interviewing a National Geographic photographer, Jim Brandenburg, who was given this camera a few months ahead of it being released. And he was waxing lyrical about how incredible it was, and the image quality was amazing. And it still is. 36 megapixels is still pretty high, even by today's standards. So this is a camera which is in no way obsolete. It's fast, it's robust, it's built like a tank. And for 500 quid, this is one hell of a camera. It's a little bit on the big and heavy side compared to mirrorless cameras, but if you don't mind that, then this is a really great buy. The Fujifilm X-T3 came out in 2018 as an upgrade to the X-T2. It featured a 26 megapixel sensor, and it could shoot at 20 frames per second in mechanical mode or 30 frames per second with the electronic shutter. But it's not really about the numbers, it's about what a beautiful camera this is to use and to hold. Being an APS-C sensor means it's smaller and lighter than full-frame counterparts, but it handles just really, really nicely. It follows the traditional Fujifilm design of a very analog layout, just like 35mm SLRs of old, with a traditional shutter speed dial on the top, an aperturing on the lens. You've got exposure compensation over on this side, and you've got your ISOs on this side. If you like that old style way of working, which I do, then this is a really lovely camera to use. It's not just about the design and handling though. The image quality of the X-T3 is absolutely stunning as well, thanks partly to Fujifilm's film simulation modes, which of course it has across the range. And in these film simulation modes, enable you to select different picture styles based upon Fujifilm films like Velvia, Provia, Astia, etc. And these are great, and they deliver fantastic JPEGs. You probably get, I would say, better looking JPEGs from Fujifilm cameras than from pretty much any other brand of camera. So if you don't like to do a lot of hard work afterwards in RAW and trying to get good color, then this is a good way forward. It does shoot video, but it doesn't have a fully articulated screen like some cameras do. So if you're into vlogging and videoing yourself, it may not be the best choice, but it does have a tilting screen. So for low level shooting or high level shooting, you can tilt the screen. Overall, though, this is a superb camera that delivers great results in quite a small, lightweight package, which makes it great for traveling. If you're a wildlife or nature shooter, the best camera amongst all of these cameras is probably the Olympus EM1 Mark II, which was the flagship Olympus that came out in 2016. And the reason I say that is that its micro four thirds sensor is slightly smaller than the others, but it means that all the lenses have a lot more reach than you'd get with, say, full frame. So this 12 to 40 millimeter lens, which is attached to this camera, for example, becomes equivalent to 24 to 80. And say a 200 millimeter lens becomes equivalent to 400 millimeter lens. And that's why Olympus has gained, well, now OM, as they're now called, OM system, has gained so much market share within that sector because it's just the extra reach of the lenses. The cameras themselves are great. It's fully weather sealed, fully weatherproof, more so than most other cameras. And also one of the class leading things on this camera is its image stabilization, 5-axis image stabilization. It's easier to do really good image stabilization on a smaller sensor than it is on a larger one, which is why the IS on the Olympus is better than it would be on the full frame cameras. So again, if you are worried about that, which again, with handheld shooting, low light shooting, even video shooting, you're going to get really good IBIS with this camera. The EM1 Mark II is also one of the most customizable cameras you'd have on one of these. Virtually every button and dial, and there are quite a lot of buttons and dials on this camera, can be customized and its function can be changed to suit your needs. The sensor's native resolution is just 20 megapixels, which I think is fine for virtually everyone's needs. But if you really want more than that, there is a 50 megapixel high resolution mode into this camera. You've also got the ability to shoot at 60 frames per second burst mode, which is very, very impressive. So overall, this is a very high spec, very impressive camera. And if you don't need full frame and you're not obsessed with having full frame, this is certainly worth a good look. If you're looking for something small enough to fit in your pocket and you have a £500 or so budget, then the Sony RX100 series is worth a look. And this is the Mark V, which will cost you around about £500, just maybe a little bit more depending on the condition. The RX100 series is based around a 1-inch sensor, which is larger than you get in a phone, smaller than you get in most typical interchangeable lens cameras, but it still gives you really, really good quality results. The RX100 Mark V comes with a 20 megapixel sensor and a lens which is equivalent to 24 to 70 f1.8 to 2.8. One of the aces up the sleeve of this camera is the fact that it actually has a built-in electronic viewfinder. Where is it, I hear you ask? Well, you flick this little lever down the side and it pops up. You pull it out and there you go. And it's a surprisingly good electronic finder, actually, a decent size, which is just as well because the screen is often difficult to view in really bright sunshine, as everyone knows with these kind of cameras. So it's great to have this. So this is a really good camera. It shoots 4K video. In fact, this entire series was the forerunner of Sony's current ZV series, which is the camera of choice for like vloggers these days. So it certainly has a good pedigree. It has a screen which tilts up completely upwards like this so that you can video yourself if you want to. So this is a really good choice, not only for people that want a pocket compact, but people who are vloggers who want a travel camera that you can video themselves.
The Canon 6D Mark II, which was released in 2017 as an entry-level full-frame DSLR, is today going for around £500 and a really good camera to consider. It has a 26 megapixel sensor, which produces really good quality images. It also shoots video at 1080p and has a lot of great features that if you're just looking to upgrade from your DSLR into a full-frame DSLR camera, you should consider. The camera has a solid DSLR body, which is slightly lighter than 5D Mark IV, but pretty compact for a DSLR. It has a long battery life, which is really good if you're shooting portraits, you're shooting events, and if you're a photographer who's looking for something durable, steady, and if you're a Canon loyalist, then the 6D Mark II is one to consider. Another great thing about the 6D Mark II is it has a fully articulating screen. This is really great if you're shooting at low angles and you want to do a bit of vlogging. It's particularly unique for a DSLR camera. It uses the Canon EF mount, so you'll be able to get a range of lenses at affordable prices. Alternatively, you could get yourself the Canon 1DX, which was a beast when it came out. This camera was a flagship camera released in 2011, just in time for the 2012 London Olympics. And at that time it came out, it cost thousands of pounds. And now you can get it for about £500. So if you are still looking to get something within the Canon family, then the 1DX is a good alternative. Another camera to consider if you're on a budget with about £500 is the Sony A7R. It was released in 2017 as a full-frame mirrorless camera. It has a 36 megapixel sensor, which captures really high detailed images. If you're a landscape photographer, you shoot portraits, events, this is a camera you would consider. The Sony A7R uses the Sony E-mount, which supports a variety of lenses from your third-party suppliers like Tamron, Sigma, Samyang, to the native Sony lenses. So you've got a wide range of lenses that you can pick from. It also has a 3-inch tilting screen and also shoots video at 1080p. One thing I love about the Sony A7R is how compact it is. It really is a camera that you'd consider if you're traveling, if you're walking about, you're doing street photography. It's a really compact camera. But the one con that I should mention is it doesn't have great battery life. You are going to need a couple of batteries to carry with you to see you through a day or a trip.
So what do you think of our camera selection? There are obviously other cameras you can get for this same money too, but these are the ones that we've chosen for this video. Do you own one of these cameras? Have you owned one in the past? What did you think of it? Do you still use it today? Does it still stack up against current cameras? Which is your favorite one? I don't know about you. They're all amazing cameras, but what would you pick if you think you had to pick one of them?
I would pick the Canon 6D Mark II. I love the solid build. I love the fact that it's got an articulating screen. So if I want to try out a bit of vlogging, I could still do that or take low angle photos. So I think I'd go with the Canon 6D Mark II.
Okay. You're not going to go with the 1DX to sort of a bit of extra back muscle?
Not at the moment.
Okay. I think I've got a real soft spot for the Fuji X-T3. As I said, I took that camera with me around the South Pacific, and I love it. It's small, it's great, it's beautiful, pictures are great, it's lovely to use. So that might be my pick. But obviously, if I want the sort of the D800 and the Olympus also have a lot of charm as well.
So do let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video, and we'll see you in the next one.